So, this morning we took notes on solving proportions. So let's do some practice. The first step is to write the proportion. The proportions are written out for us. And remember, proportion is just two ratios, and we're trying to figure out if they're equal. Here, we don't have all the information, so we need to figure out what the actual proportion is, what the ratios are. So we're still going to cross multiply. So for our first problem, on one side we have a times 10, and on the other side we have 40 times 3. What is 40 times 3? Can anyone tell me? Yes, it is 120. So 40 times 3 is 120. And a times 10 is just a10. So now we have a simple one-step equation. And we solve these just like we solved every other equation we've done this year. So what do I need to do to get the a by itself? Because remember, in an equation, our goal is to get the variable alone. In this problem, the variable is the letter a. If it's a times 10, what process do I use to get the a alone and cancel the 10 out? The opposite, right? So here I'm going to put the a over 10, and I'm going to cross that out, and it cancels out for 0. What I do on one side of the equation, I have to do on the other. So here, I'm going to put 120 over 10. What is 120 divided by 10? You have a calculator? 12, that's right. So now I'll rewrite what I have left. And I could do it this way. I could do it the long way and then just pull the 120 down and say that goes in once. Gives me 2 left over. I bring my 0 down, right? So what I have left over is a equals 12. I box that out. That's my final answer. Sure. I'll sign it when you get back. All right, so let's go on to the next problem. Again, we're going to use cross multiplying to solve it. So I'm going to set up my problem with c times 11 equals 6 times 77. What is c times 11? How would I write that down? Would it just be c11? Sure. Just like we did in the previous problem. So we'll make it c11. Now I need to figure out what 66 times 77 is. Can somebody tell me that? $77 times 6.
This number, 462.
It is 462. Oh, I put the wrong color cap on. 462. Excellent. So now we're down to a simple one-step equation, which I'm going to solve the same way I've solved every other multiplication one-step equation. I need to separate the c from the 11. Since they're stuck together with multiplication, what process am I going to use to pull them apart to get the variable alone? What's the opposite of multiplication? Dividing. So I'm going to put that over 11. Those 11s cancel out for 0. What I do on one side of the equal sign, I have to do on the other. So now I'm going to put 462 over 11. That turns into division. That number comes down here. How many times does 11 go into 462? 11 goes into 46 4 times. That gives me 44 with 2 left over. Carrying my 2 down gives me 22. 11 goes into 22 2 times. Gives me 22. So now I rewrite what I have left, and what I have left is C equals 42. And I box that out because that is my final answer. Why don't you guys try number 3? I'll give you a couple minutes and then we'll talk about it. Try solving number 3 the same way we solved 1 and 2. All right, can anybody tell me what B times 13 is? What's B times 13? Take a guess. B13 sound right? Right? So we'll just write down B13. But now we need to know what 65 times 7 is. What is 65 times 7? What?
455.
Yes, it's 455. So what step did you do next? Because that's a simple one-step equation. If B and 13 are stuck together with multiplication, how did you get the variable B alone? How did you do it? You put the B13 over what? You put it over 13? No, you put it over 13. When you have B stuck together like that with 13, by multiplication, division is what pulls it apart, and those two cancel each other out for 0. What you're thinking is on the other side of the equation. That's where you have to put the 455 over 13. Because what you do on one side of the equal sign, you have to do on the other. So what is 455 divided by 13? Yes. So I'd put 455. It would go in 35 times. So now I rewrite what I have left. B equals 35. And you'd box that out because that's your final answer. All right. Let's try question 4. So here, again, we're going to use cross multiplication. So what is K times 16? Aiden, what's K times 16? It's just K16, right? But now I need to know what 6 times 8 is.